Trump gave one of his weirdest and most unhinged and sweatiest speeches in quite some time. And at it, you could tell he had tariff on the brain. It was shortly before the Supreme Court ruled that much of his tariff policy has been illegal because he's been using emergency authority that he doesn't have in a non-emergency to randomly impose whatever tariffs he wants. And that means the house of cards that was his economic policy is collapsing. The center of his presidency, he says it's at the epicenter. I mean, he hasn't used that word. You think he knows that word? Of his economic and foreign policy has been tariffs. And the Supreme Court just said, that's Congress's power to impose taxes, and you've been using it illegally. So now does he have to refund? What is he going to do in the future? And you're going to see a very disheveled Trump, nervous about this, and ultimately his worst nightmare came true and the ruling came down. But it's interesting that he was so visually whatever you call this right before the center of his presidency was blown up with this Supreme Court ruling. Let's check in on this speech.
And I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Georgia with the men and women of an incredible American company, the Coosa Steel Corporation. For more than 50 years, the hardworking Americans at Coosa Steel have poured out their sweat and blood and tears to turn into what, look, you wanted to take raw material.
So that clip was just him introducing himself, and I don't think I meant to play it, but I did like the caption. Aaron Rupar said, Trump's speech in Georgia is just starting and he's already moist, but he starts dripping as the speech goes on and on. Now, listen to this part, okay? Because supposedly he's talking about getting Macron to do something, but it sounds like he's recounting a very different experience that we all know he's had.
Not do that, Donald. Why would I do that? I would be out of business. They said, no, you're going to do it 100%. No, I will not do that. I will not do that. Yes, you will. You're going to do it. And he said, no. I said, here's the story. If you don't do it, I'm going to put a...
So then we get into... Yeah. A couple legal rulings prove that Trump has done what he just said before. No. You're going to do it. Very dark, I know, but... Yeah, I had the thought too. That's what it sounds like. Just the quickest pause to request that you click the subscribe button, the simplest, easiest, freest way, completely free, to support the work that we do. Right below the video, click that subscribe button, back to the video. Okay, but then he's saying it's about this.
Here's the story. If you don't do it, I'm going to put a 100% tariff on all of the wine and champagne that you sell into the United States. And you know what he said? I will do it. I will gladly do it.
So when Congress has the taxing authority and Trump can't willy-nilly under these emergency powers impose whatever tariffs he wants, it proves to you that all the times he told the stories and him putting everything on tariffs. Hey, maybe if he was a smarter negotiator, part of the deal. Trump's so good at striking deals, negotiating. By the way, what does this mean for all the trade deals that tariffs have been a big part of? We don't know. This is why we have checks and balances, and Congress is supposed to be a part of something. The president doesn't just run around doing anything. But maybe it's not a sign of Trump being wronged, which is destroying his entire approach to all of his negotiations. Maybe he's not as brilliant of a negotiator as you thought, because the only thing he can think of to use as leverage is an authority he doesn't have. That's not called, oh, he's so brilliant, but the deep state stopped him. That's called he doesn't understand our laws. And in a country of laws, you're only as good as what you can legally do as president. And shortly before his world came crumbling down, he was literally screaming how much he loved tariffs.
Simple. No, it's called tariffs. I said my favorite word in the whole dictionary.
Wait. Before we get to that rant, I was thinking of this.
Tariffs. Can you believe it?
Why is he so wet? Guys, why is he so moist?
Can you believe it? He said, tariffs.
I don't want him as our president anymore. Is that so crazy? Okay, then we get back to him saying his favorite word that now he can't use like he thought.
Simple. No, it's called tariffs. I said, my favorite word in the whole dictionary is tariff, and I got in trouble with, look at all the fake news back there. Look at them. I got in trouble. No, I got in trouble with them because I said, tariff is my favorite word in the whole dictionary. This, or what about family? What about God? What about wife, children? I said, all right, it's my fifth favorite word.
All right, fine, since you mentioned children. All right, good point.
I love minors.
Okay. Children! Almost as good as tariff! Guys, are you hearing me? I think some of you going, oh, another day in tariff. No. This is the Supreme Court striking down Trump, not his tariff. This is him. Do you hear the way he talks about tariffs like his lover? They just told him, you didn't understand our Constitution, dude. And now we're in the biggest pickle, which you know very little about, that we've ever been in. Not ever, but that you could imagine us being in relation to Trump's tariffs. What do you do with the money you collected? Now our deficit problem's even worse because you didn't wait to make sure what you were doing was actually within your presidential authority. And you just swung around that one hammer you could think of because your brain is too simple to actually be a complex negotiator. And then here was the point I was starting on earlier in the show. And then I'll show you more clips. This is Trump giving us all of the damage, none of the benefits. It's not the Supreme Court's fault that they correctly read the Constitution as to who has what authority in our system of government. It is Trump's fault that he misused authority he didn't have. So now, you know how a bunch of countries, someone just wrote in saying love from Canada being one of them, who were our closest allies who are now looking elsewhere and really don't trust us anymore because of Trump's actions and tariffing and then untariffing and tariffing and untariffing. And now we aren't even actually gonna get the revenue. We just will get the pissed off allies, justifiably so. He did all the damage. And we won't even get what he said the benefits were going to be. That's how dumb this was. Because you know how you get the concessions on trade deals, on fentanyl, on economic concessions, on trade barriers, on whatever, with authority you actually do have, as opposed to swinging around authority you don't have, that then now we're going to have to revoke everything in relation to. It takes a little bit more complexity. It takes a little bit of relationships, leveraging the relationships we have with countries. But you destroyed those by swinging around this illegal action. Then you have this.
And then I have to listen to the fake news talking about affordability. Affordability. Do you notice, what word have you not heard over the last 2 weeks? Affordability. Because I've won affordability. I had to go out and talk about it.
Okay, that's not true at all. He made that up. Okay, that's all I need to say about that. That is a made up thing. Wait, what was this?
Tariffs!
Oh.
Can you believe it? It said tariffs. And I gotta be before a court. Can you believe it? This is like men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody. I have a new one to add, voter ID.
Hey, what the hell does that mean? Tariffs, like men and women's sports? You guys are actually sometimes impressive at how everything can connect back to that one thing. It's 1 degree of separation from trans athletes on every topic than this.
Andrew Seville, very nice name, to come up and say a few words. I'd like to say, because I'm telling you, I met this guy, and he said something that his wife is going to be extremely upset. I said, how are you doing? He said, President, if I didn't have all these cameras running, I would grab you and start kissing you violently. And I said, why is that?
And I said, no. And he said, I'm going to do it. And I said, no, no, no. And then he said, do you like tariffs? And I went, yeah. What's the, yeah. There we go. I should have just let you do it. I don't know why I tried to emulate it. That was weird. Yeah. Okay. And then you have Marjorie Taylor Greene's who Trump wants to be her replacement after obviously they had a falling out, a guy named Clay. And he came up to say this.
He's going to take it home. Total winner. Everybody loves him. Thank you.
I don't mean to disagree with Ambassador Herschel Walker and the Lieutenant Governor, but I want to see if the crowd agrees with me. Beside me is the greatest president in our country's history.
Ever, he says.
Mr. President, I know you like a winner, and that's what we're going to do on March 10th. We're going to win this.
All right. I don't know who this guy is. He already gives me the ick with the greatest president ever thing, but wow, he has the Chad vibe. Look at those shoulders. He makes Trump look teensy. Look at that jawline. Wowza. You got that height and that look, and you're still being Trump's...
I'm mugging you right now.
Still being Trump's bitch. Let's say that's what you're doing. You look like that. You don't have to be doing this. You don't have to be Trump's little doggy. But that's the state of things. Better men than that guy have destroyed their own integrity by trying to seek power through licking Trump's bum. And then someone else went up there. Oh, Mike Collins, who's running against John Ossoff for Senate. And this is a cast of characters, guys. Collins goes up and really struggles to make the point he's trying to make.
Go vote. You have got to get out and vote. You get out and vote. You help us grow this majority. You help us out in November. I'm going to kick Ossoff out of the state's U.S. Senate. We're going to restore Georgia values out in that Senate. And y'all, we're going to continue to take our country back.
Sir, one more time. What were you trying to say?
You help us out in November. I'm going to kick Ossoff out of the state's U.S. Senate. We're going to restore Georgia values out in that Senate. And y'all, we're going to continue to take our...
We're going to restore value that Senate. He just I think what happened was he said the state Senate, then he goes U.S. Senate, and then he says we're going to restore values, but he's still thinking about how he botched state Senate. So then he goes that Senate. Very strange. But then Herschel Walker was like, hey, don't feel bad. I'm going to get up there and try to make you look like you nailed it.
States of America. So we got to get out and vote and do the same thing, because if we do not do that, we will lose this country, because men shouldn't be in women's sports. I know what a woman is. I know that guys should not ever be in women's sports. I know that we should always respect the law because it's written in the Bible, and we got to get back to what things are and make it simple. Make it simple and make it easy. This is the president to do it. Get out and vote the correct way, because we want to save America. Thank you, President Trump. I love you. I told him I will always fight for him.
It was funny. Trump got up at this speech or one of the others and was like, Herschel Walker, who's I'm appointed to be the ambassador to... Where are you the ambassador for? A beautiful place. Bahamas? Bahrain? Where are you the ambassador to? And didn't know. But can anyone decipher there? Between Mike Collins and him, I have literally no idea what the argument was there. We got to make things simple, and women can't be in women's sports, which, wow, they're really still trying to pound that. I think people are a little tired of it. And that we have to follow the law, even though Trump's not, because the law, it was written in the Bible about men and women's sports. I do remember that, actually. Jessica, who was once Hence thou shall Jessica, who twas John, shan't play basketball. The Lord said, Jesus said, the Lord, you're okay. Jessica was once John, shall not play. Well, what's a biblical game? What were they playing back there? Way back when. Anywho, I think you get it. And seeing Herschel Walker, of course, reminded me of his most viral moment when he ran for Senate and lost.
The other night I was watching this movie. Called Fright Night, Freak Night, or some type of night, but it's about vampires. I don't know if you know vampires are cool people, are they not? But I'm gonna tell you something that I found out. A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that? I never knew that, so I didn't want to be a vampire anymore. I want to be a werewolf. You gotta have faith in this country. You gotta have faith in the elected officials. And right now, that's the reason I'm here. Because God has brought his warrior, and I'm that warrior that y'all been looking for a long time. And I can promise you, as my offensive lineman told me, Herschel, follow me. I'll take you to the promised land. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, you vote for me, I'm gonna help us all get to the promised land.
I mean, wowza. That has me very inspired, I have to say.